Hi, this is Dave Hodges of the Common Sense Show, and you're listening to the Red List News, where we are freeing America, one enslaved mind at a time. Well, back in the third week in November, right before Thanksgiving, an asthma attack storm struck Australia. And the numbers were catastrophic. In fact, actually, the figures I've read said that the 911 centers were receiving an emergency call every 4.5 seconds. And one of the things that I've been reading about is what was the nature of the storm that hit Australia and brought about these horrible, catastrophic asthma attacks in which people actually died, and several hundred people were admitted to the hospital, and some of them went into intensive care, and they almost died. They had somewhere, if I remember right, I don't even want to speculate here. The numbers that it reached were very, very high and very, very quick. But I wanted to point out to everybody that this absolutely made no sense. When I first heard this story, I was taken back to an event that took place in London involving the fog. And this was, I think late 19th or early 20th century. And they had over 100 deaths when they had an air inversion in London. And I thought, well, that's probably what this is. And I thought some of my colleagues in the independent media might have been jumping the gun just a little quickly here. But I thought I'll keep a watchful eye on it. But when this happened again in Kuwait, once is maybe an anomaly, twice it becomes the beginning of a pattern. And this is what we're seeing. And then I read one of the medical releases that I found absolutely phenomenally revealing. It said officials claim it works like a pollen that fills the air, and then after a sudden weather change, a huge thunderstorm blows through, causing the pollen to swell and burst into nanoparticles. And this would greatly affect people whose lung systems are already compromised. So as a consequence here, we're looking at a whole scenario here that is caused by a dramatic and catastrophic change in a weather pattern. Well, what do we know that could cause this to happen? Let's put on our tinfoil hats and speculate a moment, shall we? How does HARP cause weather changes? Well, it electrically excites the ionosphere, causing it to move, and then either a cold front, warm front, storm front moves in, and the weather dramatically changes. Well, this appears to be, and this is what my sources are telling me, this appears to be a HARP-initiated attack. And I'm going to put this down is now as I leave the realm of tinfoil conspiracy theorist. I think that what we look at here is a pattern. This happens twice in a short amount of time on different parts of the planet. This is a beta test. And I'm going to go back to something that I reported on almost 4 years ago. In late December of 2012, I wrote a two-part series. And let me go back in time and let me recount a little bit about the background of this. I used to be a Maricopa County first responder, and I volunteered for that because I was told in case of biological chemical attacks, you and your family will get the little goodies that could save your life first, because we need you out there, helping calm the public and work with public officials. So I was all too happy to volunteer. There was a personal benefit for me. Well, eventually FEMA came in and took over this operation, and we had a transition period. And in the transition period, I got to know a member of FEMA very, very well. He and I became friends. We started to play basketball together, work out together, got to be good friends with his family, particularly his wife. And this friendship continued for a number of years. Well, at the time that I wrote the story, about 3 months earlier, in October of 2012, he and his wife showed up where I was coaching college basketball, and they were waiting for me outside my office. So as I completed practice, I'm coming back to the office, and there they were, sitting in the conference room across the hall from my office door. Well, I invited them in, and I'm thinking, this is really strange behavior. They had come to my games before, but they had never approached me like this. So they told me that they were preparing to bug out. And I said, bug out? They go, yes, we're leaving. We think there's only a couple, maybe 3 years left until all hell is brought to bear against the American people. And I said, define all hell. Now, let me preface this by saying that this man, who had retired in that month, said, well, you know, I work in counter-bioterrorism with regard to chemical and biological attacks. He said, Dave, we have stuff that the rest of the world, including the Mossad, does not know we have. We have such unique and bizarre chemical and biological weapons. And you said you've seen in the news where they can be race-specific, gender-specific. He said we can do any number of things, and we have the facilitation agents to spread this to any place on the planet. And I said, HARP, and he said, I really can't say. And I said, why? He says, you have a cell phone in this room? Yeah, I can't tell you. Well, that was an answer unto itself. And he informed me that they were going to be leaving within 10 weeks before the end of the year. And I was just horrified. I just said, wow, I'm just stunned. And he said that he had been secretly preparing a getaway with other like-minded people who had gone into retirement or early retirement. And these people were from FEMA, DHS, and so forth. And so they relocated to a location in the southeast. Now, I know where that's at. I'm not going to reveal it. And I asked him what was motivating him. He said, well, really two things. We have to be in a position where we don't have to depend on the outside air to breathe and survive. And number two, he said, we're the brown shirts. We know where all the bodies are buried. And he said, if they do this and they are not successful, he said, they will try to kill us to try to cover up the truth. And he said, I'm not going to be anyone's brown shirt. So those were his two motivations for leaving. And I want to say that without revealing specifics about their children, this move at that time was highly disruptive to this family's personal life, in particular two of their kids. And I was absolutely stunned by this and shocked and horrified. Well, I was kind of tiptoeing at that time into the realm of writing. I was only doing maybe 2 articles a week. The website in its present form, thecommonsenseshow.com, was, 3 months old, 4 months old at the time. And I had one big story to my credit, and that was the story behind the attempted coup following the Benghazi murders. And that was essentially it. Not a lot of people knew who Dave Hodges was. And I made a decision at that moment based on this that I really had to jump into this fight, and I had to fight this with everything I've got. So you can see I put out anywhere between 4 to 6 publications a day. I stretch myself to the limit. I frequently get about 4 hours sleep a night because we're in a fight for our lives. And this isn't just a Dave Hodges fight for his life. This is humanity's fight for our collective lives. And it matters not if you're Muslim, if you're African American, if you're white, if you're Chinese, if you're Russian. The ultimate people who run this planet, the ones who serve Satan, they want to kill nearly everybody. And they don't care if they go too far and kill everybody, as long as they have their little paradise. So I started on a path of really becoming active. And what I see now happening with these asthma attacks randomly applied in 2 places, I recognize the pattern. This is a beta test. And it won't be when they roll this out for real, some event that kills 8 people or hospitalizes 900 people. We're talking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. They're just going to simply wipe out troublesome populations. Now, we already know, and Paul Martin and I have reported on this, and we're preparing to do another broadcast on this with an update, but we know darn good and well that the military and also the foreign troop contingent inside this country are preparing to suppress civilian dissent. This is why I believe the election results could be stolen, or we could see a massive false flag attack on January the 20th, the date of the inauguration of Donald Trump. I think it's likely 1 or 2, or maybe even both of these events are going to take place, and the people are going to respond predictably. They are going to be tremendously pissed off, and they're not going to hold back. And this is where Joe Blow, sitting on the couch with his remote and his beer, may actually tie his shoes up and get outside the house and decide, okay, who's the easiest target? Because people are going to be really upset. And I think that what we're looking at here is a counter response to control the population with these asthma attacks. You can excite the atmosphere, you can change the barometric pressure, you can change the chemical composition of the air. We already know that when chemtrails interact with HARP, We know barium and aluminum that directly attacks the brain takes place, and this is why we see the skyrocketing rates of Alzheimer's disease and other cognitive disorders. What's to keep them from doing it with asthma? The smart money says this is exactly what's happened. What's interesting about this, though, is I've backtracked this through several of my sources, and usually I'll get a hit. And I'm not getting a hit on this. And I'm telling you, the reason I'm not getting a hit is because this has been held secret and compartmentalized to such a high degree that very few people know about it. Where we'll start to hear rumors about this is when they disseminate and distribute the ability to strike more places with these asthma weather attacks, then more people are going to find out and you'll see more leaks. But the globalists have done a great job compartmentalizing this and holding it secret. But if you think these two incidences are coincidences and they're isolated, well, I've got some swampland in Florida I would like to sell you. Well, that's it for the Red List News. Thanks so much for joining us. We really do appreciate all of you very much. Please visit our website at numana.com/Hodges. They are the primary supporter here of the Red List News, and you can take 5% off your order as you shore up your deficiencies with storable food. Simply use the coupon code Hodges, NOV5. And up until Christmas, we've got a great stocking stuffer for you. Stay tuned for a short video on that product. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here again real soon.
With the rise of domestic terrorism and stricter gun laws to contend with, Americans are searching for better ways to be prepared for any situation. How are they doing that? Simply put, a flashlight. And not just any flashlight. The TC1200 military-grade flashlight from onetac.com. It has just been released to the public for the first time and is already selling out. And here is why. Powered by the most advanced Cree LED technology in marketing today, makes the TC1200 the most powerful single LED flashlight for its size. It's amazingly bright with up to 1200 lumens, has a lamp life of 100,000 hours, and is made from military-grade aluminum for extra durability. It is compact and lightweight, which makes it perfect for taking with you anywhere you go. At 75% the regular price and free shipping, the OneTac TC1200 is the only high-powered flashlight you will ever need in your arsenal. Visit onetac.com today before they're out of stock. OneTac. Power, strength, and protection.